Hello, it's Dharma here. Today we're going to be talking about Macbeth and the elements of tragedy. So, what elements make Macbeth a tragedy? So we have greed, lies, betrayal, and murder. Scary. So let's talk about greed first. Greed is one of the main themes here in Macbeth. It's expressed in both Macbeth and Lady Macbeth, along with, other characters. But with Lady Macbeth and Macbeth, they were both very ambitious to kill the king to gain power. And this will help fulfill Macbeth's prophecy that he was given by the witches in Act 1. Here's a quote that relates to it. "Stars, hide your fires. Let not light see my black and deep desires." So this describes how Macbeth wants to keep his true feelings about becoming a king a secret. Like that ever happened. And if no one found out his plan, like that ever happened, or intentions, he'll triumph. So here with greed, this all starts in Act 1 when the witches give Macbeth his prophecy about how he'll become Thane of Cawdor, which will eventually turn to King of Scotland. And this one's really not the most important one, but it's how Banquo's sons will carry on to the throne. So when he becomes Thane of Cawdor in Act 1, what happens is he starts to actually believe, wow, these prophecies are actually true, this is crazy. And he starts to want the power to become king, which I guess sort of gets that greed because King Duncan's his friend and he wants to take that power away from him all for himself. So that does show a little bit of greed here. And going on further to Act 1, we have Lady Macbeth and Macbeth discussing the whole prophecies and stuff, and she's urging him to kill Duncan. And he's like, "Whoa, man, I don't know about this." But she's like, "Come on, it'll be great." So there's also greed right there because clearly we can see she wants that power of royalty and all that. So yeah, and going on through the play, it's not just the ambition to kill King Duncan. It's more on when he goes on this, after he kills King Duncan in Act 2, he starts to go on this killing spree to get this, to fill this void. I just think it all relates to greed, just all the murders he commits is just in order so he can keep his own power. And I guess that just shows the greed out there. So let's carry on to lies. By Macbeth lying, he creates a lot of tension between his wife and his friends. In Act 2, Scene 1, Macbeth lies to Banquo about his thoughts since their meeting with the witches. "I dreamt last night of the 3 weird sisters. To you, they have showed some truth." And Macbeth's all like, "I think none of them," and he lies and says the servants killed Duncan. So in Act 2, so in Act 2, we clearly know Macbeth wants all this power, but he doesn't want Banquo to know, so he just lies to him. He's just like, "Nah, man, I don't want all that, you're crazy." I feel like that's the only sort of lying around just around the whole play. It's just the whole friendship between Macbeth and Banquo is just lies and betrayal, honestly, because they were good friends, and then he becomes Thane of Cawdor and he starts getting Banquo starts getting suspicious. He's like, wow, is he actually gonna kill King Duncan? And then boom, King Duncan's dead, and he's like, what? Then something's fishy around here. So you know, he's gonna ask Macbeth about it. Macbeth is obviously gonna lie. I mean, Macbeth doesn't want to be found guilty. So I feel like just the relationship between Banquo and Macbeth is just a lie. And it's not Banquo's fault. Banquo did nothing wrong. So it's just all Macbeth here. So, I mean, that's all I have to say about lies, honestly. So let's continue. Betrayal. There's a lot in this one. So we start off with the first scene of Macbeth. Fair is foul and foul is fair. And it sort of gives off this theme of betrayal, because fair is apparently not good, is what the witches are saying, and not good is fair, aka giving off this sort of theme of betrayal and just not fairness. So we obviously start off with Macbeth betrays Duncan by killing, even though Duncan's just shown kindness and has given him so much stuff, and Macbeth is like, die or whatever. So yeah, so there's that. He just kills him. And so we betray Banquo, as in we, I mean Macbeth, by literally hiring a murderer to kill him, because he's like so paranoid that Banquo's gonna find out that, you know, he's doing all this murdering, which does show an act of betrayal, because, you know, they're such good friends, and he's like, no, I don't want you to find out, so I'm gonna kill you, blah blah blah. So there's that. And then you can also say he betrays his own wife by leaving her out of the plans he's making. As we carry on to Act 3, 4, and 5, we can start to see Macbeth is just making all these decisions by himself. And, which I guess is just a betrayal to his own wife, because, you know, his wife obviously wants to be involved in all this, because, you know, that's her husband killing everybody. But, yeah, so there's that. And then this is kind of iffy. Macduff betrays, quotations, his own family by leaving them to join the army, leaving them vulnerable. I mean, yes, this is betrayal, but it's like he's not trying to betray them. He just wants to destroy Macbeth because he's causing so much havoc. So Macduff in, I believe it's Act 3. I might be wrong. I think it's Act 4. 3 or 4, either one. Okay, so he's leaving his family, which they end up dying because Macbeth is like, I'm gonna kill you because Macduff and stuff. So, I don't really see it as like an act. I mean, it could be an act of betrayal because he's just leaving him vulnerable. But here's the thing: Macduff doesn't really know what's gonna happen to his family. But yeah, there is that sense of betrayal. And then this is another iffy one. The witches betray Macbeth with the whole prophecy itself. See, but we don't know if the witches actually knew what was gonna happen in the future. They're just giving out the prophecy, like, maybe, I don't think they knew that Macbeth was gonna end up killing Duncan and then end up getting killed. But if they are, I guess it's just sort of a betrayal, like, haha, got you, psych, sort of way. Because they're like, oh, you're gonna become king. And then he becomes king, but then he dies? I don't know. I guess it's sort of like a betrayal. The prophecy is just like, I guess the prophecy is like, I guess when you like, you know, like those little fortune tellers that we used to make like in grade school. I feel like, yeah, it's just that. That's a really weird way to compare it, but yeah, it's just, it looks like it's gonna come real, but honestly, it just, psych. Okay, yeah, to carry on. So the last discussion here is murder, and clearly there's a lot of murder in Macbeth, like so much. Like, oh my gosh, there's a lot. So, yeah, obviously there's a lot of death happening. And the first, obviously, is King Duncan, killed by Macbeth in Act 2. And we all know why, because, he just wants to become king, and there's no other way. He has to kill Duncan to become king. And then, after not during Act 2, after the scene of Duncan dying, we get, he just starts going on, a murder spree and just kills, all the guards and, all that. It's crazy. And then he hires murderers to kill Banquo and his son Fleance, but, Fleance escaped. So, yeah, he's all getting them in Act 3. And then, he kills Macduff's family in Act 4. And I'm like, oh my god, that's jeez, this is crazy. But I mean, we can clearly see why this relates to the greed. He just wants to keep all that power to himself, so he has to get rid of any obstacle that's in his way. So, and then there's this weird part, I think it's in Act 4, where we believe Lady Macbeth commits suicide. She writes a note to Macbeth, and then we just never hear from her again. So, suicide, probably. And then the final scene, not really the final scene, yeah, the final scene of Macbeth is we have Macduff just killing Macbeth, because the witches were like, yeah, you're not gonna die. You're pretty much immortal, because no one that was born out of their mother's womb can kill you. So he's like, yeah, I'm immortal, haha. But joke's on you, Macduff came out of a C-section. Yep. So there's that. Yeah. So just a bunch of murder happening. But again, we can clearly see why he's going on this murder spree, is because, he just wants all that power. So which relates to the greed, which also relates to the betrayal and the lies. So it's all connected to one story. So yeah. Anyways, that was it. I hope you have a good rest of your day. Thanks for listening.